Chapter 5. Dracolith. We follow Zolesh through the dense forest, and the excitement of discovery battles with the lingering tension between us. Tornu's eyes dart constantly, scanning for threats, while Zolesh moves with the easy confidence of someone in familiar territory. Me? I'm just trying not to trip over my own feet. So, Zolesh, I venture, breaking the awkward silence, what's your village like? Zolesh opens his mouth to answer, but his reply is cut short by a bone-chilling roar that echoes through the trees. My blood runs cold. That's no sound I've ever heard before. Dracolith! Zolesh hisses, his earlier ease evaporating instantly. Tornu's hand flies to his bone knife, and I fumble to do the same. My fingers feel clumsy, panic making it hard to think. Void and veil. Through the trees, a creature emerges that makes my heart stop. Despite having grown up hearing our bravest of hunters tell tall tales about them, and even having seen one from afar on the cliffside, nothing could have prepared me for the terrifying reality of a Dracolith up close. Its scales glint in the dappled sunlight, razor-sharp teeth bared in a snarl, and eyes that hold no hint of mercy. Like a dragon without the wings or the intellect, and standing on its two back legs, with two smaller arms on its torso, its hot breath washes over us, reeking of decay and death. The stench makes my eyes water and my stomach churn. I can taste the metallic tang of fear in my drying mouth. It's smaller than the ones we saw from the cliff, but in this moment, it might as well be a golem of Tuck come to life. I glance to my side, hoping to see Zolesh ready to face this beast, but he's gone, vanished into the forest without a trace. So much for new friends. Guess life-threatening danger isn't covered in Sunatak hospitality. Stay behind me, Yorin, Tornu growls, positioning himself between me and the Dracolith. His knuckles are white around the hilt of his knife, but his stance is ready. I want to feel relieved, protected, but all I can think is how woefully inadequate that small blade seems against this monster. The Dracolith's gaze locks onto me, and I swear I can see the hunger in its eyes. Great. It thinks I look like an easy meal. Admittedly, I probably am. As it charges, time seems to slow. I can see every scale, every ripple of muscle as it barrels towards me. Tornu moves to intercept, but he won't be fast enough. This is it. This is how I die. Tuck's clay, I'm getting sick of that thought. And not by drowning in a lake, or falling off a cliff, or even at the tip of a warrior's spear, but as Dracolith food. At least it's original, I guess. Just as the Dracolith is about to reach me, I hear Tornu whisper. The words are indistinct, but they send a shiver down my spine. In that instant, I feel something. A surge of energy, of protection. The Dracolith's claws swipe through the air where I stand, but somehow, impossibly, they glance harmlessly off of me. That didn't just happen, right? It just wasn't aiming properly. The sun got in its eyes or something, right? Before I can process what just happened, a blur of motion catches my eye. Zolesh bursts from the underbrush, his spear poised lethally above his head as he soars through the air, plunging the spear into the Dracolith's side. The creature lets out an ear-splitting shriek, then tosses Zolesh to the forest floor, where he lands with an expertly executed roll and leaps to his feet. Drawing his own bone knife from his leather waistband, I definitely want him to teach me how to fight like that. If we survive that is. The beast charges toward us, its massive weight thudding through the ground as it closes the gap between us. We can hear its heart beating like a drum, faster and faster until the Dracolith lunges, and I swear my heart stops. Zolesh is quick, but void and veil, this beast is even faster. Its razor-sharp claws catch him across the chest, and I wince at the spray of blood. He grunts in pain, but keeps fighting, stabbing his knife into the creature's side over and over. Roan's breath, how is he still standing? If that had been me, I'd be in two pieces right now. Blood sprays everywhere, painting the forest red around us. Tornu and I both ready our bone knives, hacking away at the Dracolith's thick hide. It's like trying to cut through stone, but we don't give up. We fight with everything we have, using every ounce of strength and skill we possess. The Dracolith roars, and my legs threaten to give out underneath me at the tremors that ripple through the ground. Its tail lashes out, catching Tornu across the chest and sending him flying. He crashes into a tree, his knife clattering to the ground beside him. He's not moving. Shit, he's not moving. Tuck's mercy, don't take him now. The Dracolith's tail whips around, catching me off guard. I try to dodge, but I'm not quick enough. The rough scales rake across my arm, leaving a trail of fire in their wake. I bite back a cry of pain, stumbling backwards. Warm blood trickles down my skin, and I can already feel the bruises forming. That was too close. As I struggle to regain my footing, my mind races. Whatever mysterious force protected me earlier, where is it now? I'm definitely grateful it happened when I was frozen in fear. If not for that inexplicable shield, I'd be strewn across the forest floor by now. But a selfish part of me wishes it had lasted. My arm throbs, a reminder of how fragile I am in this fight. Every movement sends a jolt of pain through my body, and I grit my teeth against it. Focus, Yoren. You can't afford to be distracted right now. I force myself to breathe, to push past the pain and fear. The others are still fighting, and I can't let them down. But as I rejoin the fray, a nagging thought persists. What if I could harness that power again? What if I could protect not just by myself, but Tornu and Zolesh too? It's a tantalizing idea, but one I'll have to explore later. Right now, survival is all that matters. Then, miraculously, Tornu stirs. I feel a surge of relief so powerful it makes me dizzy. Or maybe that's the adrenaline. Or the terror. Probably all three. Either Tuck and Weka are working overtime on our behalf, or we have gotten exceptionally lucky. Tornu shakes his head, looking dazed. He struggles to his feet, swaying slightly. Come on, Uncle, shake it off. We need you. I need you. His eyes focus, sharpening with a familiar determination. There's a gash on his forehead, blood trickling down his face, but he doesn't seem to notice. He's looking at me, at the Dracolith, his jaw set in that way that says he's ready for round 2. Roan's breath, that was too close, but we're not out of this yet. Not by a long shot. I don't have time to check on him. The Dracolith is focused on me once more, its eyes burning with a primal hunger. It lunges, jaws snapping mere inches from my face. I stumble back, my foot catching on a root, and I go down hard. The creature is on me in an instant, its hot, fetid breath washing over me. I can see my own terrified reflection in its orange, bestial eyes. But before it can strike, Zolesh is there. He leaps onto the Dracolith's back, his knife plunging deep into its neck. The beast rears up, thrashing and flailing wildly, trying to dislodge him. Zolesh holds on, his face a mask of grim determination, as he drives his blade in again and again. I scramble to my feet, snatching up my own knife. Tornu is beside me, his face streaked with blood but his eyes fierce. My legs move before my brain can catch up. What am I doing? Charging at a Dracolith with nothing but a bone knife? This is insane. But Tornu is right beside me, and somehow that makes me feel invincible. Or maybe just slightly less doomed. The Dracolith is weakening, its movements becoming sluggish, but it's not down yet. It swings its head, catching Zolesh with its snout, and knocking him to the ground. A flash of movement catches my eye too late. The Dracolith's claw lashes out, and white-hot pain explodes across my cheek. I stagger back, tasting blood. My hand flies to my face, coming away red and sticky. Boy, that's deep. Through the haze of pain and adrenaline, a ridiculous thought bubbles up. At least I'll have a cool scar to show for this. If I survive, that is. The cut throbs with each heartbeat, constantly reminding me of how close to death I am. I bare my teeth in a grimace that's equal parts pain and defiance. Come on, you overgrown lizard. You'll have to do better than that to take me down. I mean, probably not actually, but for right now, I'm gonna pretend I'm the most ruthless bastard I've ever known. I don't hesitate. I leap forward, my knife flashing as I bury it into the creature's eye. The sensation of my blade sinking into soft tissue sends a shudder through me. This is nothing like gutting a fish or skinning rabbits. This is... Oh, Roan, I think I'm gonna be sick. Okay, so I am not a ruthless savage. Got it. Loud and clear. But shit, it's still alive. It's not like I really have any other choice right now. It shrieks, an unearthly sound of pain and rage, but I don't let up as I struggle to keep the contents of my stomach. I twist the blade, feeling it scrape against bone as my guts twist around each other. Tornu is on the other side, his own knife finding a soft spot under the Dracolith's jaw. With a final, shuddering gasp, the beast goes still and falls with a thundering crash on the forest floor. We stand there, chests heaving, covered in both ours and the Dracolith's blood. Zolesh drags himself to his feet, his hand pressed to the gash on his chest. For a long moment, none of us speak. We just stare at the fallen creature, hardly able to believe we're still alive. I can't help it. Despite the terror still coursing through my veins, despite the pain of my injuries, I laugh. It starts as a small chuckle, then grows until I'm doubled over, tears streaming down my face. Tornu and Zolesh stare at me, exchanging worried glances like I've lost my mind. But then they're laughing too, the sound echoing through the blood-soaked forest. We're alive. Against all odds, we survived. For a moment after our laughter subsides, we all stand there, panting. The sudden silence deafening after the chaos. Tornu rushes to me, his hands frantically checking for injuries. Yoren, are you hurt? How did you... I'm fine, I managed to gasp out, still not quite believing it myself. I don't know what happened. Tornu's brow furrows.
What did you say just before it struck you? I heard you mutter something.
I shake my head, confused. I didn't say anything. I thought I heard you whisper something to me. Tornu's expression shifts from relief to concern.
Yoren, I didn't say anything. What did you hear?
I struggle to recall, but the memory slips away like water through my fingers. I can't remember. It's all a blur. Zolesh approaches, wiping his spear clean. His earlier carefree demeanor is gone, replaced by a warrior's focus.
You both ate?
Thought I lost you for a moment. Tornu's eyes narrow.
You disappeared. We thought you'd abandoned us.
Abandon? Zolesh looks genuinely offended.
I go aflank the beast. Tactic, Eldon. Couldn't I take it head on?
As they argue, I tune them out, my mind racing. What was that voice? How did the Dracolith miss me? And why can't I remember what was said? This journey just got a lot more complicated, and a lot more dangerous. Part of me wants to turn tail and run back to the safety of our village, but a larger part, the part that drove me to explore in the first place, is more curious than ever. What other secrets are waiting to be discovered out here in the wild? My hands won't stop shaking, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have nightmares about those teeth for the next cycle at least. But hey, I'm alive. That's something, right? I watch as Zolesh kneels beside the fallen Dracolith. He closes his eyes, murmuring words I struggle to understand. It takes my addled brain a moment to realize he's praying.
Thank you, Silson, for you guiding in this hunt,
he says, his accent thick but reverent. Silson? That's a new one. Sounds kind of like how our elders talk about Pili. Makes me wonder what other deities Zolesh's people have. Maybe Silson is a god of not getting eaten by giant lizards. I could use one of those right about now. Tornu's already at work, his knife flashing as he begins to skin the Dracolith. He's muttering too, but I recognize his words instantly.
Roan, we thank you for the gift of your creation,
he says, his tone solemn. Then, almost as an afterthought,
and Pili for guiding it to our path.
It's weird seeing Tornu like this. Usually he's fully engrossed in the reverence of the moment and reflecting on how each ancient one might have played a role. But there's a stiffness in his actions now that I've rarely seen. Maybe nearly becoming Dracolith Chow puts things in a different perspective. I'm standing here like a stunned fawn, not sure if I should help or if I'd just get in the way. Back home, I'd be gathering herbs for the cleansing ritual, or helping to prepare the fire for cooking. But here, I feel about as useful as a fish on dry land. Zolesh finishes his prayer and joins Tornu in processing the kill. But where Tornu is working quickly, the typical way a hunter would process for what's needed, Zolesh is, well, it's like watching an artist at work. He carefully extracts several teeth, wraps strips of hide, and even collects some of the creature's blood in a small pouch. Each item goes into his satchel with what looks like reverence, but also a kind of glee that makes me think of a kid with a new grass doll. What are you doing with those? I ask, curiosity finally overcoming my holy shit we almost died stupor. Zolesh looks up, a glint in his eye that reminds me of Tornu when he's about to launch into one of his lectures.
Every part of the beast has its purpose, young'un. The teeth make good tools, the hide be tanned for armor, and the blood, well, that's for our shaman.
I nod, trying to look like I understand, but inside my head's spinning faster than a leaf in a whirlwind. We craft tools too, but armor? Shamans? We have nothing like this in our village. We use what we need from our kills, sure, but this level of, well, resourcefulness, I guess, is completely foreign to me. Part of me is fascinated. The other part is wondering just how much I don't know about the world outside our borders. Tornu grunts, clearly not thrilled with Zolesh's scavenging.
We should bury what we don't need,
he says, his tone leaving no room for argument.
Allow it to return to the earth for rebirth. It's the way of things. The way of things,
Zolesh counters, his tone challenging but not hostile.
It'd be disrespectful. It'd be disrespectful to waste any part of such mighty creature. Each piece got its purpose, a way to honor its sacrifice. Burn what we not able to use.
I see both their points, and it's making my head hurt. Tornu's way feels familiar, safe. It's how we've always done things. But Zolesh's approach, there's something compelling about it. Using every part of the kill seems practical, and in a weird way, maybe more respectful. As they argue, I can't help but think about how utterly unprepared I am for all of this. I came out here thinking I was ready to explore the world, armed with Tornu's lessons and my own curiosity. But I don't even know how to properly handle a kill like this, let alone score a kill alone. What else don't I know? What other dangers and differences am I completely unequipped to handle? Tornu wants to move on quickly, to get back to familiar territory. And honestly, part of me is right there with him. The thought of curling up in my warm, safe tent back at the village is pretty appealing right now. Zolesh, on the other hand, is in no hurry. He sees this as an opportunity, a chance to gather valuable resources and probably learn something new. And me? I'm torn between fascination with these new ways and a growing realization of just how much I have to learn. As the argument between Tornu and Zolesh heats up, I find myself wishing I knew how to bridge the gap between their viewpoints. But for now, all I can do is watch and learn, acutely aware of how much growing I have to do before I can truly call myself an explorer. If I ever make it back to the village, I'm never going to look at Tornu's lessons the same way again. Who knew that the world is vast and full of wonders actually meant you might get eaten by a giant lizard? Who knew that the world is vast and full of wonders actually meant you might get eaten by a giant lizard and then argue about what to do with his corpse? Welcome to the life of an explorer, Yorin. It's everything you wanted and nothing you expected all at once.